What's up, guys? If you've made it this far, that means you're at least mentally stable. So we're gonna get into some examples of the movement patterns we're gonna be engaging in week 2, which is the stabilization and endurance phase of the hybrid program. If you have not watched the week 1 video where we're getting baseline strength testing, there's a link right down below here. Click on that video and I would really encourage you to watch that one first. Once we've established that strength baseline, like I mentioned in the previous video, now we're doing higher reps with less rest time and creating a proprioceptively enriched or controlled unstable environment to make sure that you can control these movements and build on that foundation before we retest in week 8 to make sure that you're getting stronger. So a couple examples, and again, we rotate through many different variations of these, but as an example framework, in the strength testing week, we just did barbell deadlifts, heavy weight, 3 to 5 reps, 3 to 5 minutes of rest in between. Week 2, we want to challenge the ability to control that, make it a little bit less stable. So a good example of that would be doing a split stance deadlift with your eyes closed. Closing your eyes takes away a lot of sensory input and forces you to rely more on the natural stabilization capacity of your body, utilizing your vestibular system without a visual horizon. So it's a little bit less stable. You won't be able to go as heavy, and that's fine because we went heavy last week. In regard to our upper body pushing and pulling, we could be doing a single arm bench press on a bridge. And again, we're going to show you video examples of some of these. That way you're getting an asymmetrical load. You don't have as wide of a base of support. So your core and your rotator cuff and your shoulder stabilizers are all going to be working together to make sure that you have good control. Or like an earthquake or chaos bench press. So that's using a barbell with kettlebells hanging from bands. So the whole thing is on the Richter scale. For our vertical pulling, we might just do a single arm cable lat pull down with a much higher rep range. Examples in week 3, we could be doing Swiss ball rollouts or planks to stimulate our core, and we'll typically put together a little cardio sequence like pushing and pulling sleds, hopping on a bike, rower, skier, something of that nature, and measure how many rounds you can accomplish for X amount of time. An example for our second leg day of the week. In week 1, we were looking at split squats or landmine cleans as an example. In this setup, we're doing Bulgarian split squats with the back leg elevated on the bench. Again, much more unstable and really focusing on loading one leg at a time with that higher rep range and lower rest. Example number 5, a single arm press, or if we're going through a period or a cycle where we're really trying to focus on the stabilization muscles, we might do a bottom-up kettlebell press or a pizza press where you're holding a plate like this and having to stabilize it with an open palm. And an example of a horizontal pulling exercise would be like a plank row on your forearm on the bench, repping out a horizontal pull. So again, this is a little break for your nervous system, less load, less rest time, building sarcoplasmic hypertrophy or the ability for the cells to bring in and utilize fluid and nutrition, and build capacity in these movements so we can make sure that we can do them in a safe and effective way. So we're gonna go out onto the floor and give you some examples of how to accomplish these movement patterns. See you out there, peace.